I've made a very interesting discovery that I thought I'm going to put down on tape before I forget. And it just goes to show, you know, what I keep preaching all the time about. You have to, if you change your own attitude, you will find a way of making things work for you. And this is a great example. So while I guess everyone had anticipated, including me, how much time it would take to communicate to the customer, with the customer, there is also something, and I kind of forgotten how this whole Instacart thing started for me. I had a really good time when I started, and I had a good time because I was very open with everyone around me, with people, including customers. So I believe I had a chat with my wife, and eventually we got to the understanding, or basically she told me, look, you're communicating too much. If you want to get your times faster, which is a requirement of staying in the job, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to chat less with customer, be less friendly, don't chat so much. So I'm going to do that. Then Instacart introduced this thing called RSAT, which is the replacement satisfaction scale, and we all suck basically. Of course that means Instacart sucks, and if customers aren't happy, they're not returning customers, they're looking elsewhere. Obviously that can't happen because otherwise we're all out of a job. So what Instacart are now doing, and this is part of why this you have to communicate thing has actually been implemented, is the fact that they want to make the customer experience better. So that's the idea behind it. And so it turns out that now I'm forced to communicate again, so literally 180-degree turnaround there about, well, now you have to, and we all have to communicate, and we're going to monitor how this is going. Apparently they've looked at this in a smaller test region. Miami, by the way, is one of the largest regions for Instacart, the second largest in wherever they operate internationally. I say this in quotes. They say Miami is one of the second largest regions, so we're going to roll out new things only when we're sure they're going to work. I appreciate that. I can understand that. So very interesting then that at first I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be, my time is going to go through the roof and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm going to be very slow. And of course then the automatic emails are going to fly in as, and you know, you're going to be deactivated and stuff. So, but the thing is, because it's going to happen no matter what, and it's going to happen to everybody, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to go and really take my time. I'm going to take my time communicating with the customer. I'm going to take my time finding items. I want to take my time acknowledging the people around me like I used to in the beginning, more or less naturally. I started doing that because I was thinking, well, no matter how much I try to squeeze myself on both sides, I will be unsuccessful with that strategy. My time is going to be slow, my customers are going to be unhappy, I'm going to be unhappy, which is the most important thing. And of course Instacart is going to be unhappy because, you know, they're kind of always unhappy, aren't they? So there we go. So I decided to step back and say screw the time, basically deliberately saying I'm going to be as long as it takes. I'm going to be as slow as I need to be in order for this to be a good job, to do a good job there. And you know, what can I tell you? This is the exciting thing I want to share with you and with myself, that I feel so much better. I feel so much better not looking at the time and not rushing things and not going and fulfilling each order in the shortest amount possible. I'm looking at quality again, so take your time at the staging area as well. That's the other exciting thing for me. I'm taking my time making sure things are packaged properly. Yesterday I found a customer a box who was complaining about the fact that he had a crushed key lime pie earlier, or on his previous order, and he put a lot of notes in there, and I started communicating with him, and he said, yeah, well, some of your colleagues give me a hard time for my notes, and I was thinking maybe it's a little bit excessive. And I told him flat out, right, no, I think your notes are great because they're very clear and they're not unreasonable. That's the other thing. He just made sure, look, I need the Perrier that is kosher for Passover, you know, it's important for me. I can't have unkosher Perrier water. I didn't even know that existed, but apparently it does. And yeah, well, look, now I know that, you know, it's important. Learn something else today. It's Napa cabbage, as they call it here. It's actually Chinese cabbage. We in Europe call that Chinese cabbage, and here they call it Napa cabbage. Didn't know that. How interesting. I must remember that. So, but yeah, the point of my discovery is that it was just such a relaxing shopping experience. I really enjoyed doing this shift, which is weird because I started it going in really angry and aggressive and you know, but I also then realized that by rushing things and making sure my time's okay, I don't have a good experience with this whole job, with myself. And I come home and I'd rather forget about the day, and I feel dead, you know, or deadened. And what makes this even worse is the fact that I'm aware of it. So by literally doing it slower, and it reminds me of what I did when I couldn't walk very well during my recovery period, during my cancer period. I could only walk really, really slow, but by doing it anyway, I felt better. But also I was more aware of anything, of everything. And it's so funny that this is exactly the same situation right now. So it's awareness again. It's this waking up and going, look, what we're all prone to do in this society. Just go faster and instant gratification and all that. It really isn't worth it, because at the end of the day, that's really not what's making any of us happy, or is making any of us fulfilled. We do not feel fulfilled doing that. This whole rushing things and that's just all BS. So I think I'm on the right way here by just going, hey, look, I'm going to ignore the time altogether, and I'm going to focus on well-being and quality. And what I find so fascinating is that what I do naturally and instinctively appears to be the one thing that Instacart want to improve. They want to improve the customer satisfaction rating, and by just being me, it appears that is precisely the road to success. Once again, what a fantastic parallel there. You know, be more you. That's exactly what my YouTube audience are telling me. You know, do more of that. That's what we want to see. And it's so so funny that this is just true for life. You just got to be more you, and don't hide the real you. Be whatever you are, and you know, that's just it, isn't it? Yeah, I thought that was great, and I thought that was just such a wonderful experience and such a wonderful reminder of this very fact. And you know, this is something else I've noticed, that doing these videos, it's literally, because I have to edit them, I have to go through what I'm saying. It is almost like I'm speaking to myself motivationally. So I watch these things back, and it doesn't really matter if anybody else benefits while I'm at it. But by me rewatching what I'm saying, I'm thinking, well, this guy is right. Oh, hang on a minute, it's me. So, but there's something else to the whole picture, that by having to re-listen carefully to what I'm saying, it actually sinks in. So I guess it's almost like I have this idea, and I'd like to make sure it comes across, and I can explain it, but sometimes I can't apply it to myself. You know, like the age-old saying is that some people are better at giving advice than actually following it themselves, and sometimes it's exactly what that's like. You have the insight, you can tell other people what is best for them in their situation, but if you look at your own situation, you sometimes don't see things. You're blind to it. And you know, that's fair enough. I guess sometimes we're just too close to the situation. So by putting the GoPro in between me and myself, it looks like I'm benefiting from my own advice. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see that. and just use this as a tool. I think this is just mind-blowing stuff. This technology is around us, all of us, and all we need to do is use it. I mean, the age-old tape recorder, you know, it's a good writing device, and we see this in TV shows and movies, that there's usually a therapist who happens to have a tape recorder, and somebody who's long dead leaves a message on tape, or well, maybe we can find out what he was talking about, and that's employed as a writing device. But many people are using these things in real life, from what I can tell, or have been using them. And you know, this is just so cool, because this is basically the same thing, just for the 21st century. Film yourself saying inspirational stuff and take it to heart. Like, it's sometimes it's just so simple, isn't it? When you know the solution, when you're given the solution to something. And often that's the other thing about these videos that I find phenomenally exciting, is that I say things that I would normally not say to anybody. I would usually be sitting here listening to music and, you know, thinking this out loud, but or thinking about it kind of internally, quietly, but by thinking it out loud, it's a very different process of what you mobilize in your brain. It's not something you can practice either. It just comes out. It's almost, and this is another fascinating aspect of this whole experiment, is that it's not necessarily me that's saying it. It's a different part of me, and I only get to spend time with that part if I actually go and do it this way, so that this is the thing out of which it all comes, and I'm gonna watch it more or less for the first time when I'm actually editing this footage. Isn't that amazing? I find that so exciting. Writing is a similar thing. I've noticed that when I was writing, it is very similar, that I'm sitting there and I've got all these thoughts in my head, and without them coming out, they can take on a very destructive force by themselves, because there's just too many of them. They just need to be out of my head somewhere else. I don't just want to lose them either. So it's almost as if it doesn't matter if this is recorded or not. And I got to tell you, sometimes these recordings don't work out. So many a time I've had this issue that the audio was just not there, you know, and because I have to record this on a separate feed, and the microphone is in my pocket, the iPhone is in a case. If a phone call comes in, the recording is interrupted, and all those types of things. So there were 2 or 3 occasions at which I've basically recorded the inside of my trouser pocket, which doesn't make any sense, but hey, it's just not something you can use. And the internal mic of the GoPro just covers a lot of wind and vibration noise, so I can't use that either, because I don't really understand anything of what the thing is recording. It's one of those things. So sometimes, I guess my point is, sometimes these recordings go wrong, but whoops, got my package still, yes, but by talking out loud, it still has a beneficial effect on my brain. But I think this thing only comes full circle by the time I actually re-watch it and take it to heart, what I'm saying. And I do this what's the word that I'm looking for? I'm doing this, it takes a lot of time, and it's a bit of work to do that, but I do that, and I don't rush through it either. I don't just go top and tail this. I do watch it through, and as such, it is like the inspirational message from me to myself that I always wanted, or that is beneficial to me. Yeah, who knew that I can give to myself what I need? Hey, is this crazy or what? Seriously, that is just so cool. Also crazy. How can we just go here now? Excellent, that's good. Yes. So I start the day angry, bereft that my job is changed, or has changed, is changing, and I anticipate this to be a bad change, but by embracing it, it turns out that I'm actually benefiting from it myself. How cool is that? That's just the universe going, do you know what? Be more you. You be you. the rest will fall into place. But don't be something you're not, or don't be you only a little bit. Be you a lot, and then a lot comes back to you. What a wonderful message that is.